Hello, everyone, and welcome back to The Gray. This past weekend, my girlfriend and I were discussing things that freaked us out, and to be honest, I have a lot of them. Mainly for me, it's stuff that involves like humanoid creatures. I remember back in the day we had like the rake, wendigos, and skinwalkers, all that good stuff. Even down here in Louisiana, we have something called the rougarou, which is basically the swamp boogeyman. I'll be doing a video on that at some point, I'm sure. But eventually I landed on an oldie but a goodie, and that is the Philadelphia experiment. I looked into it when I was younger, but I realized that I never really looked into it past the rumors and kind of the fairy tale nature of the story. So that's what I want to do today. Now, for those who haven't heard the original version of the story, it's a pretty bizarre one, so strap in. So just a short disclaimer, I know you guys see the timestamp of this video and it's probably shorter than the other two that I've done previously. My plan is to upload these smaller videos probably once a week in order to kind of hold you guys over for the bigger videos that are coming maybe once a month. I would also like the bigger videos to maybe stick to the true crime aspect of things, while the smaller videos we can kind of get free and explore maybe the more paranormal side of things. So yes, thank you guys so much for watching, and please let me know what you think about the new format down in the comments below, and let's get started. On October 28th, 1943, a Cannon-class destroyer escort with 216 men on board was conducting a top-secret experiment known as Project Rainbow. They were conducting this experiment in hopes of gaining some leverage over the Axis powers in the Battle of the Atlantic in World War II. One Dr. Franklin Reno wanted to use Einstein's unified field theory to surround a ship in a force field, making it invisible to enemy radar. They decided to test this new technology in a naval shipyard in Philadelphia. During this test, hundreds of onlookers claimed that the hull of the ship began to glow an eerily green color as the generators began to spin up. Suddenly, to the surprise of everyone watching, the ship disappeared. It was here that witnesses claimed that the ship then materialized briefly in Norfolk Naval Shipyard, hundreds of miles from Philadelphia. Also at the same time, witnesses at a harborside bar said that two sailors who were well known there also materialized out of thin air in the middle of the bar before vanishing once again. The ship somehow finally reappeared a few hours later, back in Philadelphia. The outcome of this incident was just as staggering as the event itself. Many of the people on board were driven insane by the event, and some even disappeared without a trace, never to be heard from again. And while those outcomes are terrible, there were some that never made it off the ship, and it's said that their bodies were fused to the metal hull of the ship, still alive. Another interesting point was actually the wristwatches of the sailors. It said that they were all actually 10 minutes out of sync with the current time, leading people to believe that time travel was actually involved as well. Of course, it's said that the US government and the Naval Department wanted to avoid a huge scandal in the middle of World War II and decided to cover the incident up. It's said that many witnesses died mysteriously, some of them even being given suicide missions during World War II to make sure that their lives were lost without suspicion. In 1965, a witness named Vincent Gaddis published an account of his event, which you can read today. This account actually led a few other authors to include the subject in their published works as well, and went so far as to see two Hollywood films made about the incident, one in 1984 and one not very good in 2014. One story often overlooked is the 1978 novel Thin Air. It's a fictional novel, but bears a lot of resemblance to Gaddis's original account. I'm going to read an excerpt from it now. At the war's end, the men of the USS Sturman were ordered to join hands on the ship's deck, ignorant pawns in a top-secret Navy experiment. An alarm sounded. A humming began. Moments later, a common surge of desperate and disoriented terror was felt by every crewman as they watched the ship beneath them and finally their own bodies disappear into thin air. Now, after more than 25 years, a man wakes up screaming from a nightmare, having something to do with the Navy. Another, hopelessly insane, draws, in a childish scrawl, pictures of figures holding hands. And naval investigator Nicholas Hammond scratches at the iceberg tip of a complex network of cover-up and deceit, hiding a significant breakthrough that could save the world or destroy it. So this story is an awesome one and does a great job of making our minds run wild with skepticism or possibility. But what really happened that day? Was there a real ship? Did it disappear? Did men's bodies fuse to the hull of the metal? That's what we're here to find out. To be honest, the truth of all of this is pretty mundane, as it often is. In 1943, a man named Carlos Allende, that's the only time I'm pronouncing that, wrote a letter to an author named Morris K. Jessup detailing Carlos's account of the same event as he claimed to be a witness. When Morris asked for evidence, Carlos wouldn't provide it, and honestly, Morris just wrote it off as a hoax. Carlos only wanted the attention of Morris because Morris was a semi-successful artist that published a book called The Case for the UFO. You can still read all of these things today. 2 years after Carlos had sent the letter to Morris, Morris received a copy of his own book in the mail. The book had annotations in 3 different ink colors, all detailing the events of the Philadelphia experiment and strange notes about aliens and other dimensions. These notes were actually allegedly written by 2 interstellar travelers, but Morris recognized the handwriting immediately as Carlos's. Some less skeptical officers from the Office of Naval Research in Washington eventually published Morrison's book, complete with the notes and annotations. So, fun fact, the copy of Morrison's books with notes and annotations is actually available to buy today as the Vero edition of Morris K. Jessup's The Case for the UFO. There have actually been some unofficial reprints of the book, which are much cheaper, but I did actually take a look on eBay, and the official copies are going for thousands of dollars. It's kind of crazy. This continued for years, with Carlos sending similar letters to major authors around the country, and it gained traction. It's actually said that the Vero edition for the novel most likely influenced the basis of Gaddick's book of his actual account. So now we get to the truth. And the truth is, the USS Eldridge was nowhere near Philadelphia in 1943. After officials checked the travel logs aboard the ship, the conclusion was that the Eldridge was running normal training out at sea with her newly formed crew. Most of them had never even seen war. The ship lived out her life escorting convoys in the Mediterranean, and it was eventually sold to the Greek Navy in 1951 and renamed the Leon. 48 years later, in 1999, the USS Eldridge was scrapped for parts. It's really incredible how stories can take off like this, and it really shows us how powerful word of mouth can actually be. Even though it isn't real, I'll remember the USS Eldridge and the men that were aboard her, and I'll tell it to the next generation when they ask. So if you are absolutely new to all of these stories, welcome. You are going down a rabbit hole that you're going to have so much fun with. You're going to be scared out of your mind, but you will be interested. And we have some great stories to tell. So thank you guys so much for watching, and stay tuned for the next video. Take care.